I get down, right? Well, these some of the channels that I watch and I frequently watch. You know what I'm saying? I watch a lot more and they'll probably be on the next list. But for right now, these are channels I'll be watching right now. So like, comment, subscribe to these channels. You already know the vibes. And tell them Naga sent you. You already know.
Abundance, my people. Yes, abundance to you all. Abundance to you all. Sunblood, yes, you feel that weather out there? You feel that sun? You feel the rays of the sun? Sunblood, sunblood, sunblood. You must have the blood of the sun and the consciousness of the universe in order to move forward in what we call the Great Awakening, the age of Aquarius. The age where the truth is more disturbing than the lie. This is what we must understand. It's the truth is more disturbing than the lie. We must understand this, my people. And this is why, my videos are shadow banned. This is why I've been at 70. Let me show y'all something. I don't know if y'all gonna be able to see this or not. Let me tell y'all how funny this is, right? Let me show y'all how funny this is. Abundance to y'all. Oh.
That's my attention span testers. My commercials are my attention span testers. It can see how long you can stay in one spot without without getting up. And it's only a minute. It's like literally a minute, but it tests your attention span. It does it to me too. I sit there and watch them, knowing that the only thing that's progressing is the actual people. Everything else not progressing. It's just going like this. But the people are progressing with no sound. So that really messes with your senses because you can't hear them even though you see them moving. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you gotta stay on point. You gotta stay on point. Like, and it don't even matter what you're staying on point for. Is can you stay focused for a minute? Can you get through another minute? Can you get through another minute? Can you watch the whole thing? It's just commercial. You know what I'm saying? In the way I want to do it. Anyway, all right. So before I was talking about the time length and capability of spiritual connection within people. Now, this is why I'm a type of individual, yo. I'll be in all types of different blocks of different spiritual energy, listening to people, right? Like, yo, that's right. I'll be cheering everybody on. You know why? And I don't have a judgment to the value. You know why? Because I understand the level of class for each level of growth. Even levels of growth that I haven't came to myself, I understand what growth look like. I understand what it look like when you are in a particular headspace because of your dimensional energy. And I don't take nothing away from nobody. I know everybody got their own class, you know what I'm saying? But we all kind of just rubbing shoulders in the aspect. I ultimately know that this is why judgment can't play a role because you don't know which class you in. You got to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? And this is how I'm potentially learning how to see classes, not actually. Well, I can kind of date them by the activity, but this is how I'm learning how to more over than just date them, see them, and ultimately seeing them entails understanding the capability of spiritual energy. The more spiritual energy you have, the closer you are to source, which alleviates you of emotional context and realities here on the earth. There is still like old time biblical energy still existing here. There's still time before that energy existing here. There's time after all that energy, there's time that we have missing energy still existing here, and they're all here together. And these different energies inhabit different particular people for whatever reason. This is the time frame of spiritual connections. Learning that lesson, sometimes you might get held back, right? You can get held back in class. And we don't never look at these potential values like, you know what, the reason or the why. And it's not meant to, but then when you see that is the main focus, even like a kid in school who don't want to take responsibility for them always being disruptive, they're going to find a reason to blame somebody else, so ultimately they may repeat that class, right? Speaks to the value. Spiritual energy is reflecting the value of your physical motions. This is why you really can't be blamed for much actions in your flesh, you know what I'm saying? Moreover, the fact that you're learning from those things. But we have a spiritual action that we deal with. And this is what you get. This is how you get judged through your spiritual actions. What are your spiritual actions? It's everything you're connected to spiritually and what that means for you. Like, so if you're connected to potential energies that give you life and that has a way of understanding and knowing, then that has potential direction for you to follow, right? So that doesn't speak in values of, and you know what, I understand the God concept that we are the we're embodiment. You know what embodiment means? You know what I'm saying? So trying to be egotistical to the understanding, it doesn't perplex the understanding of you being embodiment inside body. It's like everything that you are right now is inside of you in smaller forms. Outside of you, we are cell forms. If you was to look at us from a larger aspect than planets, we would look like cells. We would look like the body. You can't concept the reality of realities or concept the understanding of understanding or have the wise of wisdom. Everything has contrastal value, and I can't take nothing from anything, but I can explain contrast because they're visible. They give you these things. How you perplex your reality is up to you. what you use to get through these things, there's a million and one ways that solidify every single direction in the same way. If a root has to open up to gain water for life, the directions that the roots take to get to the water, it's up to you. Whatever that root believes within the midst of the mud and the dirt and the trees and everything it has to push through, the bugs or whatever's under there, everything it has to push through just to get to where the water is, right? To get to where the water is. It's up to that root. Subsequently, that root is connected to a tree. That tree, the base of the tree, it turns to a solid, which is condensed roots that merge into rings to show you the life. And it opens back up at the top, as above, so below. So it's showing you the many perplexed reasons it has to gain water because it's the same optimum value that it's taken in light, right? So this is how it's going to dig through. That doesn't give the roots their own complete pathway. Otherwise, they would break off and go start their own life, right? It doesn't quite work that way. Ultimately, they can get broken off after a tree comes up and they're able to sustain that rooting system. But that is not a conscious understanding. Those happen by happenstance. The point I'm making is that even though the roots have their own particular direction, they're still connected to the source, the reason why they're doing that. And the connection point in between the bush, the trees that open up into leaves that pull in sun, and the roots that go down in the earth and pull in water is the connection that spirals in the middle. Look at a tree, how it bends. You know what I'm saying? Slowly, how it turns. It's a spiral. Spiral in between 2 points is wisdom. It's everything they wanted to call it. The reason why they put the dragon and the serpent on it, because this is the contrast to that understanding. The reason why they put a serpent on it, a dragon, something chasing the sun, and all this other craziness, the wavy lines in between 2 points of origin, is the reason they did that is because the contrast couldn't concept that connection of energy. When you're contrastal to reality, you get to visualize it, not feel it. And then something contrastal to that can feel it instead of visualize it. You know what I'm saying? Like some of us can feel it deeper than we can see it. We know it in ourselves more than we can see it in perplexity. You see what I'm saying? And this reality sets on each value of spiritual understanding. I'm not going to go against no comprehension or biblical understanding or standpoint of reality or what one thinks. I think if you're loud enough to speak it and stand on it, then it must be real for you. I can also see how certain parts of reality they fall short to other inflicting realities. That's because there's people that's missing from the connection of bridging the gap for this information, which ultimately leaves people looking in certain directions to satisfy a notion that doesn't have anything particular with the fact of why you even can harness this energy or this power at this particular time. Every class is mastering yourself so you can be prepared for the next level of self. Each level of self is getting you closer back to source energy. And the ladder that you're standing on is all the spiral energy compositing, building up inside of you. This is simplicity. But having one's conversation with individuals, it starts to get into the aspect of telling stories or mystifying and some type of romanticizing aspect of good and evil. When the only good and evil that actually exists is the fact of what you understand or comprehend about what you want or need for yourself in each particular growth cycle. You're learning that. So the only reason why it ended up being bad is because indifferent to what you knew about yourself. That's the box of yin and yang. Acceptance is a key for everything. I don't have to say I hate something in order not or and for me not to accept it. I can try it, accept it, have an understanding for how it mixed with my vitality, and I can let it go. I don't have to at that point say, oh, that was the worst thing in the world. And we have been in these aspects. This is clear mind thinking. This is being able to retrospect. But most of us don't do that because most people go off their wants, right? You go off your want. You don't go off your need of understanding. You don't go off the need of knowledge. You know what I'm saying? You go off your want of obtainment. That speaks to a level where you are spiritually. Ultimately, I truly believe I'm not even supposed to be in this time, if you ask me. I believe I come from another time. I believe I come from a higher aspect of the same DNA lineage of who my people are, and I got sent back to this particular body with this consciousness. I really believe it. You know what I'm saying? Like, because there's no need to explain it, but I really do believe that. Because it seems primitive sometimes. It seems like it's close, but it ain't. It ain't all the way. And then it starts to get comical. You know what I'm saying? Divine comedy. And then you see people like speak to the value like it's something different. And ultimately, the more you grow forward, you start knowing that it's similar. Every level is similar. So like if you was to go to caveman time right now, you know what I'm saying? Like or like it's like I'm just saying, like the capability to be able to synapse fast, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? I remember when I was younger, right? As a teenager, and I was training myself how to rap. I would go like this. I would be like, the rap fast. I would go. And while I was doing this, I was imagining my mind to say a word, and I say it. Think a word, 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 say it. And I would do this with my fingers while I'm watching myself in the mirror, and I'm thinking the words really fast. And as soon as I think it, I want to say it. As soon as I think I want to say it, I know I'm like quick seconds off because the finger can't be there at the same time. I understood that. But I figured if I can do it quick enough, I would speed myself up. No, just a theory, which had me rapping fast, popping the clip of the thing. They want to forget it. I'm ready to go. You know what I'm saying? Like I would learn like that. I would learn like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's how I taught myself. So ultimately, there is not a problem in this planet that can't be solved in a way you feel like you want to solve it. That is the direction you have. Not to state that the ultimate authority is yours. That's not it, because it's not it. You have the choice to fail as the capability of what you are, or you have the choice to strengthen as what you are. Anything outside of that is detrimental. You know what I'm saying? Like anytime anything is separate from the tree, it dies. That speaks a lot for us. So we ultimately don't understand this value, and this is why they like to keep us chasing other thought patterns as far as what we are at the natural pretense, despite any religion, culture, of anything, who we were at natural pretense. What are you universally? Why did the universe place you here as what? We could talk about every time in existence. Let's go to the original aspect of why original people was put here. Why were the children of the sun under the sun put here with melanin? What was that natural purpose where the first pond they walked, then the foot, then? What happened, pan? Then they walk from the first foot, then fire more blaze. When me come down, then when panda life, what panda life they live the original purpose before they start formulating the vibration in the vibrational form. They talk panda it. What happened before they started formulating everything that they was learning into conversation or vibration? Who were they? That was never documented. They keep trying to tell you that what it was. They keep trying to tell you it has to be this, it has to be that. Well, ultimately, what you don't know is every miraculous thing that ever took place on the earth within divine energy wasn't recorded for reconsumption as far as the experience. There are things that'll never be seen ever again. There are things that was only done within one person viewing. There are things that's been done within a 5-person's viewing that had traumatic changes to the whole existence. These things are never supposed to be understood by some pretense of everybody. They're not for that. They're for the particular reason of the energy being collective and can be transmuted. We are energy cells. So if I know this, the existence of higher energy can come within through the comprehension of knowing one's full self, then there's a pathway to growth through you learning everything about yourself first, connected to the universe, because that pathway, as you travel this road, will start unlocking more future thought patterns that will give you a clear understanding, lack thereof, of the bondage thoughts that's given to you today by surrounding oppression. As free as you could be, you still put yourself in bondage by what you're giving. This is why you're allowed. Don't let that fly over your head. Replay that. Because the ego is allowed. And you see when certain egos aren't allowed, what happens. So ultimately, if you are able, then you're particularly incorrect. And that speaks to a lot of things. This is why we have to be careful. And confusion, even on pure knowledge, is uncareful. It's like you're confused because you can't understand the pure knowledge. So it's set free. You won't get it anyway. High mathematics, high vibration. Let it go. Who can comprehend that? It goes just like that. It's like, I'll rather put it in your face because I know you won't jump to it. If I make it cheap because I manipulated you, you won't purchase it. And it might be the cheapest thing you see right there, might be the most value. How many times you went to a yard sale and found things of value? But it's not valuable because you seen things that was obtained with more than what considered to be value, and you got something that you consider to be valuable. That was the walk away from divine in all aspects. This is not to say I am particularly intrigued by the value of materialistic concepts. The divine understand this world and the capabilities of growth. He gave me these thoughts and synapses. It's not to say that these things are a particular vice or a outlook. If I strengthen everything about the understanding of how these perplexities are taking place, the happy meal comes with the toys. And sometimes you jump into that space of mind. You'll jump into that space of mind, don't even know you're there. And then you in that space of mind and you get it. The capability of understanding how that took place was mostly divine. You are 100% human and flesh. I give you 75 because you got the spirit is 21 grams. You 75, if that, a little less, right? Flesh. So most of your synapses are going to always run back to that. So we talking divine energy. How do you comprehend that when most of you is not divine? See, we speaking to the capability in full retrospect. But ultimately, you're not going to see it like this because you're trying to take it how they gave it to you. You're trying to take it how lesser gave it to you. So if my dog brings me a squirrel because it's dead, I'm not going to eat it. I'm going to say, thank you, sweet dog. I understand what you're doing. I ain't eating that shit. It's no different from a dude when I was in Georgia, roll up on me with his wife. He was like, hey, you want some squirrel? I bust out laughing, was like, hell no. Yeah, like eight squirrels in the back of his truck. It's squirrels running around everywhere. People yards in the park. I seen one just run up the tree. He pulled up on me on the side of the road. You know what I'm saying? I'm walking to the store. You know what I'm saying? He walked on me in a red truck. His wife was sitting there. She looked over. She bust out laughing too. I guess she looked at my face. He was like, hey, you want some squirrel? I was like, hell no. And I bust out laughing like that at the same time. His wife, she bust out laughing too. I was like, y'all have a good one. What no damn squirrel. But I guess some people ate it. So you could do that in certain areas, in certain particular energy. You know what I'm saying? But I guess sometimes you don't see the vibration of the dimensional energy until it's right there in your face, right? It's almost like walking into a celebrity. You're like, oh, that's the person I see in the TV or the one I hear over the radio. So you're still not concepting the reality for that person because of the distance in between where you see them at. Your mind see them through the screen. So automatically, if it's captivating to the value, you put them in a place because you can't literally touch them. See, this is universal principle that speaks to a particular value. This is why we feel the way we do about divine energy. It's the first TV. It was called perplexing the value. So if I perplexed it to you, you can visualize it yourself. That was the screen in between you and divine. Who put a screen in between you and divine when divine connected? Yeah. Goes right over the airplane like pew. Get the spoon and open up wide and it's the water, baby. They said what was here before the word? It was the water, man. Go look it up. What was here before the word? It was the water. The water had to be first because you need to have the food to nourish, get a life. Body won't stand up without the water because the electrical synapses that hit the water, and then water's the greatest conductor. You know what I'm saying? And when you hit water, minerals start coming out of that. And trace minerals start forming minerals. You start doing it on a universal pretense, you start getting other things. You know what I mean? Other things. It happens. But see, the problem is people want life to happen in one significant way. As many ways as you can concept thought patterns as how life came into existence. But you don't have to see all that. That don't mean just because you can't document it and control it all, don't mean it's not real. Divine don't work in conception to where you can find and document to make sure you'll be able to catch up. It don't work like that. Divine created that energy when it exploded, the happenstance created and the residue built. And the more it does that, it's not like I'm going to create a whole thing of Q-tips. It's not like that. It don't work like that. But because it's the opposite of actual formalization, we are the contrast. We get to create an actual thought pattern. You know what I'm saying? Divine creates out of happenstance. It creates womb out of motion. I'm in one room that I know all in. I'm going through this. That's I know all, and I'm coming where the unknown is, which creates a womb. Every time it creates that womb, it knows where it's going. So now it's back into the unknown, back out again. And it constantly does this for eternity and always. And it'll never stop doing this. It'll close and open constantly and always. And it'll keep making more dimensional aspects and dimensional aspects. It's never gonna stop. And it's never ever gonna be, and it's never ever gonna be documented. And it's never ever gonna be mathematically sound, and it's never ever going to reach the same ratio of one existence, and it's never going to have the complete same understanding as one area that builds a perplexity of understanding. Like you have to just think about this, and this is I'm gonna go real far out real fast. And if I can do this, then you have to understand that it's stupid to even think and try to comprehend the values of anything other than that. We in this planet have developed a lot of different languages, and that's just here on this planet, and that's less than a micro increment. We here on this planet, we've created a lot of languages and conversations and dissonance between each other, and that's less than a micro increment compared to what existence is. So if we were able to do this on the smallest vibration in existence, that perplexed through a wave in reverse reality has hit 100 trillion times 100 trillion times a Google 100 million times a trillion quintuple times triple intillion times 100 million multiplied by 100 billion gazillion, constantly replicated through the value, ripped and shred and recreated through existence, found and unfound and found again, and then descended through those same concepts on a whole nother attribute and put back into another place somewhere else. And that's a reality. Existence doesn't play how we want to play it. And trying to control it is how we stay in these motions, because the more you push against the nothing, the more you create nothing. and you're imagining that you are, but you're eventually going to have to, everything you create and you hold on to, you're going to have to let it all go. Divine doesn't carry luggage, but I overstand the pretense. There's classes, and there's classes for different individuals that are in a different growth state. You know how they say in the Matrix, and this was fly, I like this, and this went over everybody's head, but you know it meant a lot to me. Dude was like, dude was like, I'm sorry. And he was like, why? He was like, because I know we're not supposed to wake up a mind after a certain age. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's gonna flip out. I thought that was funny because I'm like, yeah, you know what? What if he was to wake up a caveman? You know what I'm saying? Like, and started showing, he'd be like, whoa, 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 whoa. You know what I'm saying? Like, it'll be crazy. Like, right? I'm just saying, think about it. So everybody's waking up, not waking up. They're graduating to their particular level. This is why certain knowledge clashes. And you know what's crazy? Like the first spirits that come in and they're in bodies and they have to live and they don't have karmatic value, but they have to create the memory. So they do a lot of reckless stuff just so they could come back and have a karma, a yin yang to deal with. Naturally, people are mad, right, against certain things because when they die, they got to come back to it. You're creating your karma. Like, you don't even know it. Like, you're going to die and come back doing the same thing you hate. That's why I be so happy, yo. Like, you know what? I was always a happy kid. Like, I was always like, they was like, yo, why? Because I finished my test. Yo, this gonna go over everybody's head. Yo, ain't nobody. They be like, what is he talking about? He finished his test. I'm born in a 7, man. 7 is completion. Divine told you that. And you'll know the sevens. You know why you know them sevens? You know them sevens because, you know what I'm saying? They be happy. They don't be worrying about nothing. Nothing. And it's just that crazy. Like, don't be really worried about nothing. I ain't really got no thought patterns on anything. Like, you know what I'm saying? I got thoughts. You know what I mean? But I got thoughts, but I ain't really putting no thoughts on anything. And the only thing that really hurts us is lack of love. You know what I'm saying? Think about that. And they be the real high version chosen ones. Like we just get mad when you just don't show us the right, like the love you supposed to show us. You know what I'm saying? And then people start taking advantage of that. Like, yo, I just give them a little love, it be all right. Think we don't know what's going on. Like y'all take the way certain individuals reflect off the value of stability to a level of naiveness when these old souls ain't happy like that because they slow or they don't see what's going on. They happy like that because they've been through it all. Not just this life, all lives. And they are so comfortable, even with if the time for them to go, they know where they going. Like it's a different understanding, it's a different stability and comfortability. When you stand outside your house and everybody home and somebody from school got beef with you and then they want to come in your yard with that and your other brother home and your cousin's down for Thanksgiving and they want to talk trash and they's like, oh, no, this was a little something. And you're like, he always messing with me. Like, you messing with my peoples, yo? No. Who that? My cousins, yo, from out of town. My peoples, yo. Now you want to be friends. It'd be like that, like you feel like that. But for the most part, the energy is always going to be different. People are always going to gravitate indifferent to these energies. It's because of your class. It's supposed to be that way. That's why they say don't judge nothing and be accepting to everything. You know how you see people blowing up stuff, but you ain't nowhere near. You just be like, oh, they did that? You on another class. They on another class. They probably in the 70s still. Probably in the 60s with. What's my man, the dude name? We used to call a dude in New York, he used to run around. White dude used to kill people. I can't remember his name, yo. It's gonna tip my tongue. Dude is loose. Run around nighttime, kidnap a woman. Crazy. But yeah, I can't. Maybe Divine on me to speak on it, but it be like that because certain times be like that, and it be and I used to wonder like, yo, why years be switching? It be seeming like these few years be like this, and then this few years like these questions I used to ask when I was young. Like, yo, it's crazy. And as I got older, I started just understanding the pretense up until all the way now, like the indifference. It was more the perplexing knowledge in between it, but then all those pieces formulate to a whole spectrum of understanding, showing you slowly how it's coming, it's coalescing like this. But ultimately, you're not going to look like that. You're not going to look at it like that because you're in a certain time dimension with your conception. Conception is deep. Being able to mentally understand on a particular level is deep. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not telling nobody to do anything outside of this. What I'm explaining to you that is levels, and the levels are way different than you understand. Not just to say it's levels. You got to understand how levels really work and what that look like. And I'm not trying to go back in other classes to, you know what I'm saying? No, that's your class. I got to stay on my class. That makes the image. See how they jumbled up the reason why things was dope. The image of something better. That's you understanding the class you in. So as long as you standing in that space, you showing other classes what the classes be. That's why I say I like going to other classes and be cheering them on. I don't care what they talking about. You know what I'm saying? If they right or wrong or not. I like to see the energy. I like to see the spiritual energy rise up in you, whether you feel you right or wrong. I'm agree with you if you know what I'm saying? Now, if you really wrong, I don't even gravitate to it. Like I don't gravitate to it. I don't know certain things like, but certain people, like I like their energy. You know what I'm saying? I like how they talk. You know what I'm saying? I like the type of fortuitive energy they grabbing. But then it starts showing me the time and place they in. Like certain people, I think they spirit literally stuck from a certain time and they arguing something that never argued before. You got to think about it. Some conversation just kind of popped up recently. We've always had a slavery conversation, but we never had this particular conversation. And you have to understand why certain particular conversations come up. It does, and ultimately it'll start hitting borders of certain things just to be heard. Like if I hit on enough walls, y'all gonna hear me, and then somebody gonna recognize the truth. Despite the outcome. It's like a volcano when it erupts, it destroys everything. You know what I'm saying? So it's not particular, it's destroying everything, you know what I mean? It gotta be heard. And a lot of pains happen back in particular times where, like I said, they killed off the people who was gonna fight for that. So sometimes that energy comes back, and when it comes back, it has to be heard, hands down. And you're not stopping spiritual energy, whether you believe it's real or not. It's going to be heard, you know what I'm saying? Whether, I'm just saying, like, that's something different. So depending on the class that's in, it's going to grab classmates, you know what I'm saying? And then they go to work. So don't let me hold you. You already know the vibes. It's Naga, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to go ahead and end y'all out with a commercial. I was going to play all my commercials today, but I kept talking because the vibes be real, but you already know the vibes, man. Yeah. I'll play this one. You already know the vibes. It's Naga. We back. It's another set of my core commercials. You know how I like to get down. So if you subscribe to me or you want to know what I'll be checking out, here's another list. I'll be bringing another list to y'all next week. Or maybe in a couple days, who knows? I'm all over the place, but check out these right here. These are some of my favorites I'll be watching. You already know the vibes. Naga.
from outer space. I got Milky Way for blood, evolution in my veins. I'm gone, I've been far away. I'm illuminated, I'll make a move, start a waves. I've been dreaming about flying for a long time. I had a vision from the crazy, they want a cosign. Artificially intelligent AI. I'm your future, present, present, I'm a fine line. Yeah, I'm a missing link of this illusion. I am not really here, I'm an intrusion. I don't swim or sink, I just float. I don't need gravity, I just need growth. Oh, when I move, it's in a quick rumble. I won't ever, ever fall, never stumble. And I don't need to be humble. Break down walls like Jericho crumble. I could go higher, past the stratosphere. I could.
All right, I was gonna go away, but I'm not. I'm gonna build with y'all for a minute. Something hit me, and people always gonna judge. That's why I keep doing my thing. I ain't about to stop doing nothing. But just imagine this real quick. That despite everything that's going on, just say the reason why the biblical words was mixed up the way they are, or anything spoken in some retrospect from a higher source was mixed up the way it is. It's because it's right there. So we got waves, right? You got us down here, right? And you got a top, you know what I'm saying? We know we have a transcending point. We know this. So there's an information level that came from something higher to a value right here. Those words were jumbled up for a particular reason because you still got levels to go through before you get here, right? So those words that are right there that was given for a particular reason. And some of them like we do know, but you don't know all of them, you know what I'm saying? So and it's like you knowing these values as an individual, some of the smaller things, like for instance, just saying no judgment. And you've heard this biblically, you've heard this in different values, but what if that was saying if you can, or if you are aware that you have no judgment, right? Like, what if it's saying that if you are aware that you have no judgment, if you are aware that you are happy all the time, if you are aware that things don't bother you as if um like other people are being tempted by certain things, if you're not tempted, if you're, you know what I'm saying, like what if it's saying in retrospect, because Mayat speaks to what the soul is only experiencing what the flesh is going through. So the soul can't be charged for anything really, not while it's watching the flesh live. Ultimately, the more your flesh goes through certain things, there won't be potential aspects to certain things the flesh would normally do, right? So what instead of having the condemning aspect of how it's told to you to make you feel like, oh, woe is me, what if it's saying, as you grow, if you feel these things, then you are closer to there? Wouldn't that be like pulling you, right? That's like guiding you, right? And that's telling you how the physical body is especially knowing that you're not going to know. Like you can't always say that your thought pattern is you know what I'm saying? You can't lean on that. So you have to lean on the fact that something is going to keep, because something, what tells you hungry, what tells you sleepy, these things started teaching you a long time ago. The fear, you know what I'm saying, the happiness, the sadness, these things came through retrospects of exposed to certain situations. You had to be guided to the yin yang aspect of it. And the more you dealt with these particular characteristic traits, the more you've numbed to these things. Just like you punching a concrete until the knuckles get hard. You see what I'm saying? Understanding this value, understanding how you are growing. How do I separate and then still use blame? You're growing, right? So as you grow, different strengths are going to come in. You're going to get stronger bark. The way the wind moved the tree before is not going to really bother it as much. You'll be able to put more weight out and hold more things. You'll be stronger. This speaks to conception. And instead of condemning the child, why would I condemn myself? Instead of condemning myself, I would guide it through that feeling. I would tell it, I remember that. And these aspects speak to a potential. So I can make it harder for you to reach particular things by you feeling condemned by your own value. This has spread across the whole entire planet. You feel bad because you let one down. You feel these things. Well, then ultimately you get addicted to doing these things because you don't understand what you're supposed to feel in particular aspect to certain things. Then you would, if you knew this ahead of time, you would say, well, shit, I got through that before a lot of people did. Or I went through certain, and you know what? I didn't even know why I was thinking this at a younger age. I find myself experiencing things way before other people would. And I would even see it down to the regiment of the streets, like people who were in the same valley. And I'd be like, yo, y'all gonna experience it soon too. It's the waves. Next thing you know, somebody be like, yo, gee, that's just crazy. It's like you spoke into existence. I don't speak into existence. It happens. That's what we go through. And that familiar energy kind of whips across. Somebody told me a long time ago, they said, yo, when you are in your consciousness, there are levels to your consciousness aspect. It's like standing by the ladder, standing in the middle of the ladder, or standing on top of the ladder. Now, if you stand on top of the ladder, you can see farther down the street, right? If you're down on the bottom of the ladder, you can see what's coming from the street, but you can't see as far. You see? These things make a difference. These things make a difference. Even if you understand that there's a point to arise. And different to every normal thought, you have a class that you're in, and that's the point to each class, getting to the point of the rise of the class. Once you get to the point of the rise of the class, then you get an understanding. Your understanding perplexes the value of the physical understanding because this is your spiritual growth in a physical body. Your physical is going to want to do things. This is why it touches. That's why babies put shit in their mouth. You see what I'm saying? You got to touch things. That's how you always been doing it. You just now concept that value in some difference. But it's the same retrospect. But you understanding that the more you drop personal particular feelings, it's not to make you indifferent. It's to get you prepared for the crossover. So then if you're not feeling certain things, you're supposed to be gaining happiness because you don't have to carry that with you. These are things that troubled you at a particular time. So once you just start falling into this happiness, that should array in your actions. See, the spiritual combination of having your heart weighed against that feather is when you start making spiritual choices that are damaging. What is a spiritual choice? And I was trying to speak to this before. What is a spiritual choice? A spiritual choice is things that you're connected to. Ultimately, we keep thinking that we're not connected to each other. No, every single original person is still connected spiritually, whether you came from a particular womb or not. We all come from a base set of energy, and that energy is multiplied through original people. This is the only reason why I can feel you. But ultimately, you can't damage no people, and you can't skip spots. You can't just jump around and do what you want. All those gaps you're creating in life, not treating the equal energy of divine energy. And see, it's not the people that you're serving. It's not the people that you should be worrying about. It's the divine energy in the people. And when you serve the divine energy in the people, you serve that spark of energy that's in the people, you're going deeper into knowing and caring about the individual because it's the spark, the divine spark. What I'm speaking is a higher level of science. You're talking about being a caretaker of the earth. Everything on the earth has a divine light. Otherwise, it would not be able to transmute no energy coming from the universe. Without universal energy coming down here, everything on this plane of existence dies. But nothing serves the value of that in its existence. Instead of you strengthening or paying homage to each individual for having the spark of life and giving love to the fact of the spark of life being in each body shell cage that we call a body. We don't focus on that as gratitude. And the reason why you should is because that's showing you multiplied divine energy in one area for particulars. I don't make this up. It's just what it is. So that's really what you're trying to understand and comprehend through a physical understanding, because the blockage is the physical being able to feel. So then that divine spark is experiencing what would happen if the physical can feel, see, record, value, even interpret, and impressionate. It's still an experience, but it's an experience in the value of you growing to merge something that is untethered. It's untethered. That's why it's so important. Why do you think you're so important? Why your insides are so important? Because you're untethered. It's a pure version of stable divine energy that breaks through the universe. It breaks through the ether and creates black holes. It's the strongest source of power known. And every individual carry a piece. And it's stable inside of you. Once it grows, it can implode into something greater. Once it gathers enough friction. Divine seeds. That's why they call them divine seeds. This is why when a supernova takes place, suns come out of everywhere. Bang! Right out of the milk. Right out of the milk. Look, I ain't trying to hold you. I'm just explaining what I see sometimes. You know what I mean? And there's nothing to worry about. But you're ultimately going to go through your negatives, because all your negatives will be your future positives. You know what I mean? And if you can positive, oh, you bang right now. You bang right now. Like that's what you got to understand. When you positive, you bang. It's like something's going to try to pull you back. It's just what it is, man. It's not a bad thing. That's just the class they're going to go to. Just understand it. Keep going. You already know the vibes. Naga. So I'll be throwing up the piece way before I even bring the video clip in. I'll be like, yo, I'm out. And they didn't even bring the video clip in. Now I got to sit here and kick the bobo with y'all real quick. They go another one. They go another one. Another one. Grand rise, live rise, grand afternoon, grand evening, everything that's going to come in between. You already know what it is. It's Naga's core commercials. We still going. Some of the channels that I be watching, you already know the vibes. Subscribe to them. Show them some love, man. Support. That's how we going to keep everything going. So, I'm probably going to play all my commercials today. You already know the vibes. Naga. Okay, it's eating me up. I had one more message. I was in there like, yo, it's eating me up. We can't wait till the commercials. Go ahead and talk. All right, look. Once you start understanding that you're in a trap, into the contrast, that is the trap. Like yin and yang, that's your trap. Because you got to go left and right. Stay up in there all day, left and right, left and right. When you understand the balance, right, and you start understanding what balance is, you sit in that for a minute. That this gives you the chance to let both sides be. Once you sit in that for a while, you come out of this particular balance energy, and what happens is your emotions are always positive, no matter what, and you allow the world to spin around you how you want because they are creating your contrast, right? If you stay positive, you get two positives. If positive comes towards you, right? That's balance out. If somebody comes at you with negative, because you are positive, behind a negative is what? A positive. So this is a crazy science that's real. And it's levels to this, but people are not going to see it just yet. You know what I'm saying? Because you want to implement, you want to do stuff. You still got your physical body on turn on. You know what I'm saying? You got to describe it. You got to explain it. You like, nah, I can't let certain things happen. I would never do. Some people looking at, look what I'm able to do. They think I got them fool in their head. They don't know. Da 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 da. This, yo, look. There's functions to every single capability and value, but you will never know this because you're inside your own retrospect. That's cool. Old dude told me a long time ago, and I repeated this on one of my other joints. I say, he told me, yo, as soon as you learn to get the understanding from other perspectives along with yours, you're going to be a bad brother with the way you think. Trying to get you to understand. After you sit in the balance of Sumati, in the middle of everything, and you understand why both sides are basically two sides of one coin. So then you stay on the charge that gave you life. It's positive charge. You're not really obtaining it. You're just giving out positive energy, knowing that you come from that source of energy. So you're giving out positive energy. So anytime positive comes towards you, that's two positives, right? That's karmatic out. When negative comes, right behind that negative is a positive because you're staying positive. So understanding this value, that is the key to turn. That is the key that you use to turn the karmatic box that keeps you locked in here. You know what I mean? So take that gift with you, put it in your pocket, and understand when you are opposed with these energies, this is what's taking place. Because if you match negative with negative, it pushes you back. It's like losing a board. I just lost a man like that. Two negatives, just drop power. This is why it's a fight to keep that energy up. They're watching you, learning this, hoping that you don't see this. Hoping that out of everything that's happening, this is what you don't get. Let me keep you mindful of this. Let me keep you doing that. Let me keep you in this mindset. Let me keep you over here in that mindset. Anything but just knowing that. Knowing that mathematical problem. Once you see that in every single retrospect, you will never be afraid to go through the circumstance again. Because you know what's opposing you. And then ultimately from that point, you will start being able to orchestrate that positive right in front of your positive. What gives you the way out? See, we trapped in here. And if you think I'm playing, you sit down in your life right now, take what I'm saying and don't look at what happened. Just look at the negative, positive adds up in your life. And look how they played. Even within you, how you got to be honest with yourself because you're going to start seeing stacks that came crazy. You're going to see setbacks. You're going to be like, yo, I thought, nah, that's where the setback came from. Stack them up. It's always simple. Divine gives you the easiest way to make it simple. Any way that you find to simplify the known now is a great thing because that makes sure that you're using your own energy, your own mind to do these things, but you're working within the confines of the divine energy. You see what I'm saying? This is a choice. That's also sacrifice because you're putting down will, right? And you're choosing to use these tools. So be mindful and do not let the emotional value attack you in particular ways, because this is what it's trying to do. You already know the vibes. Love. Naga.